The simple act of writing down your thoughts, feelings, or details of your day can have a profound effect on your life. Journaling helps you process your emotions, get to know yourself better, and in some cases can be a legacy that you pass on to the next generation. At an early age, Ken Fidler learned from his father how important it was to keep a daily journal. Ken kept detailed records during his time serving in World War II, which he later used as the basis for his book, Memoirs of a Ping Jockey. Ken's style of journaling is very detailed-oriented, and he focuses on the concrete rather than the emotional, giving us a straightforward look at the life of an American sailor during World War II. Life passes by so quickly. If you don't write down what happens to you, the details become murky and you might forget what really happened. Thankfully, Mr. Fidler did write down what happened to him, and because of this, he etched his way into history. Last week, we left our listeners in the bloody Battle of Okinawa, and this is where we will pick up in this week's episode. Now, Mr. Fidler, while you were in Okinawa, you made other missions to Aishima. What were you doing there?
Well, starting on April 13th, every couple of days we go to Aishima with our UTC team, and they blow up some of the beaches getting ready for the next invasion. And we kept doing that until about the 17th. And then they invaded. They had a regular invasion of Aishima. And our boats let the troops in.
Wow, so that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. And by about the 21st or 22nd, they put the American flag up, and everything was pretty well cleared there. And soon after that, we went back to an island near Okinawa called Kamikaze. And first of all, we refueled from an oiler, and then we met the Army and gave them all the explosives that we still had that we didn't need anymore. Got rid of them.
Is that standard practice for ships to get rid of their explosives?
I think so, because you don't want to be loaded with a bunch of explosives if you get hit by a kamikaze.
Oh, I'm sure.
And you know what happened. We got hit by a kamikaze.
Well, we'll get to that in a little bit. No spoiler alerts. What happened after you gave away your explosives?
We got a new job.
Oh, boy.
We had orders to escort a convoy to Guam by way of Saipan.
Oh, wow.
And I can explain what kind of ships they were. There were approximately 18 LSTs and 24 LSMs, which were landing crafts used for invasions. The LSTs carried troops and had a flat bottom so that they could go up onto the beach. They then opened the bow and the troops walked directly onto the beach. The flat-bottom design also allowed them to carry mechanized equipment such as trucks and tanks.
Which is crucial.
Yeah, that's what you need.
For that sort of invasion.
And the ones that we were taking to the convoy, we were meeting the convoy with three sub-chasers, 3 minesweepers, and 1 patrol craft. Our commanding officer of the Loy was Screen Commander. We were on our way to Saipan. On the way, all of a sudden, the quartermaster, they had their scanner on to see the depth of the water. And all of a sudden, they realized they were going over the top of a volcano. which was about 8 feet under the water.
Oh, wow.
We almost hit a volcano. That was something different.
Yeah, you don't hear that every day.
Yeah. Then we had passed an aircraft carrier with 4 destroyer escorts, and soon after that, we got a radio report. The hospital ship Comfort was under air attack and needed immediately assistance. But later we reported another message from him. 47 men were killed by Kamikaze, but she was still proceeding to Guam under her own power. By May 4th, we reached Guam, and we were thinking about what we could do there.
Oh, yeah.
And
there was something extra special that you and the boys were looking to pick up on ashore.
We often wished we had a coffee maker in the sonar shack, but we never did.
How did you...
And when we needed coffee, we always had to get a big metal pot, put the coffee beans in, take them down below deck to the engineers where they had steam lines with coils, and we'd stick that hot coil into the can of water and coffee beans, and then we had coffee. But that wasn't too good a coffee.
No Starbucks at that time.
So while we were at Guam, Jerry Fink and I thought maybe we could order one. So we went to our division commander and asked him if we could go ashore and order a coffee maker, and he said, sure, go ahead. And the next day we went there and got one.
And you guys were the most popular men on the ship, I guess, after that.
I think so, because we brought it back, set it up in the sonar shack. We made a table to put it on, and we got all the equipment that we needed with it. And from then on, every time we changed our shift, the new shift had to have a fresh pot of coffee.
as it should be.
Yep. And the entrance to the sonar shack was right in front of the seat where the captain usually sat. And he always seen us going in and out of there, but he never said anything to us. And we started offering him coffee, but he said, no thanks. But a long time later, I think it was, well, maybe I shouldn't tell about the long time later.
Okay, we'll hold off. He's learning about spoiler alerts here, so let's bear with him. So Mr. Fidler and his ship were in Guam for a few days, and then they received orders to go back to Okinawa. And what happened when you returned to Okinawa?
Well, on May 11th, we got underway and went back to Okinawa. I arrived there, refueled, and then they sent us out to Baker 29, which is on the perimeter that we always stood watch on. They have a big perimeter around Okinawa. Stop any ships or submarines or anything from coming in. But also, we attracted a lot of Japanese planes. Each station was maybe 5 or 10 miles apart. Anyway, on Baker 29, DG-779 reported a Japanese plane hit, and she had quite a few casualties. That's the way it went for a few weeks. We kept staying out there on different stations almost every night, or sometimes during the day we'd have air raid. A lot of times different ships would be hit and we'd have to help them out. Then on Sunday, May 20th, we left Okinawa with the USS Bar, APD 39, and joined another convoy to escort them to Okinawa. So, getting new ships, I guess. We arrived safely with the convoy at 0900. And then we moved ahead to our night station, which is Able 34. We were at general quarters most of the evening. And at 2100, the USS Bates ABD-47 reported she had been attacked. The Bate was in Baker 25, which we patrolled 2 days before. She shot down 2 Japanese planes, and it looked as if the Lucky Loy left just in time. Again, later, the LCS-119 reported she shot down 2 more enemy planes. Both of these planes had come in low in the water and were detected by radar until they were almost on top of us.
How long were you usually out on the perimeter?
Well, a lot of times we stayed there quite a while, but sometimes they moved our position from one place to another, but we were still out there. May 22nd, we were on Able 34, and we had general quarters. Most of the enemy planes seemed to be heading towards Aishima. And at 23:30, one plane flew right by us at 400 feet and attacked the DMS-29 in Station 36, located just 2 stations over from us. They splashed one plane, and LCI also reported a submarine fired in torpedo and just missed her bow. Thankfully, the rest of the night was quiet. On May 23rd, we patrolled Able 34. We left our station long enough to refuel on a tanker at sea, and were back on station by 1600. At 1920, we were at general quarters and stayed in that condition all night. Many groups of enemy planes came in from the north and northeast. A few of them bombed our ships, but most of them bombarded Aishima. And Yuntan Airfield on Okinawa, our bomber was seen exploding in midair off our port bow. It was a very large explosion, and it was believed the bombs blew up with the plane. There were quite a few planes shot down that night, but I don't believe any ships were hit. We learned the USS Chase APD-54 was attacked the week before. A Japanese plane attempted a suicide dive, but missed and crashed in the water close by. It caused a heavy underwater explosion that ripped open a lot of seams, flooding the engine room crew quarters. We were relieved when we heard the report of no casualties. The USS Chase was a ship from our old division, from the Loy with its destroyer escort.
So kamikazes were a constant threat out there, and up until now, your ship had avoided them. But on May 24th, something else happened.
On May 24th, we were still patrolling Able 34. Everything was quite quiet all morning, and the captain announced we were to celebrate holiday routine. He said he wanted to let the crew get some sleep because there was a chance we might be up all night. At 17:30, we went to general quarters, and many Japanese planes were reported coming in from the northeast. From radio reports, we could hear many of the planes were being shot down by our night fighters. Still, a lot of the enemy planes came in and bombed Aishima and Okinawa and started a few large fires, which could be seen miles away. It was a beautiful night for an attack. The sea was calm and almost full moon in the clear skies. Their enemy planes reported all around us, and one of our night fighters shot down a few Japanese planes. 2 radar picket ships reported an encounter with enemy torpedo boats going all speeds from 25 to 40 knots. Raid after raid of Japanese planes came in throughout the night. Many of the raids had 6 to 10 planes in them, and there were a total of 40 raids. Our plane was tracked in from 60 miles on our airplane, and when it was directly overhead at night, fighter shot it down from a very high altitude. The plane burst into flames and came straight down in a ball fire and crashed in the sea about 2 miles from us. I will never forget the thunderous sound. The USS Grady D-445 went over to examine the wreckage and found 3 Japanese bodies, and according to the broken wristwatch worn by one of the pilots, the plane crashed at 12:01.
Wow, that's amazing that you can tell that sort of detail just from what the watch the Japanese pilot was wearing.
Yeah. And then on Friday, May 25th, at 12 minutes after midnight, we picked up 3 enemy planes on our radar at 15 miles out. The target closed and we saw the planes were heading directly towards us. As they got within 3 miles of us, they veered off the right and headed directly for the USS Barny, APD-29, which was in Able 33 Able, the next station over from us. The crew of the Barny fired and got some good hits on one of the planes, then finally crashed into the starboard side of her, right under the bridge. It was a 2-engine bomber that hit her and ripped a big hole into the starboard side, causing a large fire in her forward cruise compartment. The crew abandoned ship, and the PCE 485 picked up survivors. We also went to her aid and took 15 survivors aboard, 2 of whom were seriously injured. We then moved to the north of her to lay a smoke screen to cover the USS Scotland, APD-126, while they attempted to fight the fire on the Barny. While we did this, 3 more planes attacked ships a few miles away. We had 1 seriously injured casualty on board. The doctor operated of him because shrapnel had caused large gaping holes in his back. Finally, we requested to go into Howe Anchorage so we could get the seriously wounded on a hospital ship. We received permission, and by 03:15 headed in. We anchored and transferred the casualties to the large ship by 0600, where reports of the ship's hits came in. They were as follows: USS Barny, APD-29, hit in station, Able 33, USS O'Neill, DE-188, hit in station Howe 158, USS Roper, APD-20, hit on station Able 34, Able that we had left a few hours before. No wonder we called the Lucky Loy. USS Butler, DMS-29, USS Storm, DD-780, USS Seventeen, DD-441, USS Cole DE-641, USS Special AM 305, LCI 135, and USS Bates ABD 47, Fitton Station, Able 34. She and the DE-441 were attacked by 7 planes. 5 were shot down, and the other 2 hit the Bates. On May 26th, at 1000, we were directed to proceed to the Able 34 Able for screening. At 1600, we went to general quarters. The PC-1600 reported she was hit by 2 kamikazes and was a bending ship. There were only planes in the area until 2000. Even though they were hit, and didn't hit any more ships. And on Sunday, May 27th, we continued to control Able 34. At 0745, we went to general quarters, and 8 valves, dive bombers they were reported coming in from the northeast. The USS Forester DMS-24 reported she was under attack and wanted to combat air patrol immediately. She later reported she was hit. The DD-630 also reported she was hit and burning fiercely. She said 2 magazines blew up and there was some survivors in the water who needed immediate assistance. 4 ships were sent out to assist her. Later in the morning, we secured from general quarters, but kept all gun crews on their stations. We were back to general quarters at 1930, and many planes were reported in the area. Every now and then, ships were seen firing airplanes. The Japanese planes had all of the advantages over us that night because the moon was full and there was low overcast of clouds. Our ships were silhouetted in the moonlight, and the clouds were so low you could slip in within seeing them. The worst thing was that there was not only friendly fighter planes in the air, they had set flash red, control yellow, which meant air raid was imminent and to fire at everything. At about 22:45, a Japanese plane dropped 15 flares near us, and a few minutes later, he dropped some more. About 2300, the ship next to us fired at a plane, and at 2305, 2 Bettys with their twin-engine bombers attacked us on our starboard side. It appeared to us that the one came to attract our attention while the other tried to hit us. Fortunately, we saw both of them in time. We fired at both, and one exploded off our starboard bow. The other started to smoke, and it turned just in time to miss our fantail. We saw a large explosion when it crashed about a mile astern. Another plane flew directly over the ship next to us, then circled and came straight toward us. Every gun on our starboard side started to fire at it. We believed it was a bow dive bomber, and her motor burst into flames as she headed in our direction. Our guns fired up until the last moment, but it finally hit us on the starboard side aft, right under number 3 40mm gun turret. The whole ship shuddered from the explosion, and we all knew right away we were hit. The plane exploded, throwing gasoline and oil all over the place, and drenched some of our gun crews. A large blaze covered most of the fantail, but no one panicked, and everyone did a wonderful job of getting the fire out in record time. We flooded the magazine to prevent them from blowing up, and within a short time we were underway at a very low speed. When we were hit, we lost all water pressure, so all we had to put the fire out with CO2s and handy-billies, their portable pumps. Shrapnel went through the mast, cut the radio cables, and some communication lines. The whole starboard bulkhead was riddled with shrapnel holes, and 140 millimeter and 120 millimeter were out of commission. There were 3 men killed and about 10 men wounded. One fellow was blown overboard and was rescued by another ship. However, soon after they told us that they got hit. One aircraft radar and our aircraft radar was damaged and inoperative, and many other things were put out of order. The 2 starboard boats were smashed and split beyond repair. We reported we were hit, and they then proceeded back to Howe Anchorage. We made about 3 knots, and it seemed as if we were standing still. Then the payoff came. Another plane circled the ship at 2 miles, and all of a sudden started for us, coming in on the starboard side. Every gun that could fire did so, and he zoomed over just a few feet above the ship. He passed over the port side, and he appeared to be burning, and after he got out in a distance, the captain announced that the plane was coming back for more. Just then we saw the plane come in, but it never got to us. Instead, it exploded and crashed astern of us, giving us another plane to our credit and taking about 10 more years off our lives. Are you wondering, where was I during all the excitement?
Absolutely.
Well, my general quarters station was usually either on the sonar or on the radar. Right before we were hit, I was the radar operator. I picked up the plane that hit us on the radar at about 8 miles out, and I reported to the bridge and gave ranges and bearings as it got closer. When I told them the distance was about 4 or 5 miles, I heard the 5-inch guns firing. When I told them 3 miles, I heard the 40 millimeters guns firing. When I lost contact, I heard the 20 millimeters guns firing. And then it hit the whole ship, rolled over to the port side, and I was thrown on the deck, all the way over to the port side.
Wow.
And just as I got up off the deck, and I realized I was all right, the door from the pilot house opened, and out came the quartermaster, Roy Perrin, who was the helmsman during general quarters. He said, I'm bleeding. And when we looked at him, we realized what happened. Before we were hit, he was at the helm, drinking a cup of coffee. He placed it next to the rudder indicator in front of him. The pilot house was always kept dark at night because the ship was blackened out. The rudder indicator had a red light over it, so the helmsman could see it. His coffee had a lot of sugar in it, and when the ship got hit, he was knocked down on the deck and felt a warm, sticky arm. When he held it up to the red indicator light, it looked like blood, and he sort of panicked. We often laughed about that later.
But not then.
Not then.
Wow.
When the plane hit us, it had approached our 40mm gun crew was the first to fire, and it came straight in towards the tracers. It hit and exploded right below the gun. As the plane came toward the ship, one of the 20mm gun crew took out the empty cartridge magazine and stooped over to pick up the full magazine, and his helmet fell off. He didn't stop to put it back on, and when the plane hit, the shrapnel hit his head and killed him. His name was W.R. Logan. Most everyone called him Red because of his bright red hair. He died on his 21st birthday. The other two members of the gun crew were also killed. Their names were T.A. Kelly and B.M. Graves. The 40mm and 20mm gun were close together, and right behind it was a gun director. It looked something like a set of bicycle handlebars, and a sight on it he could look through to see approaching targets. A sailor was strapped into the directory, and he moved. The director and the 40mm gun also moved toward the target. When we were attacked, my friend Nolan Noble was strapped in that director. He did an excellent job directing the 40mm gun at the target, but when the plane exploded, his body took a lot of shrapnel. He was seriously wounded and later taken off the ship.
Oh, wow. So what happened next?
We slowly headed for Howe Anchorage because we were listing at a pretty good angle, and the water poured into the cruise compartment. They gradually pumped the water into tanks on the opposite side of the ship and returned the ship to its upright position. We were under protection of a smoke screen, and it seemed like forever getting into the anchorage. The ship's doctor did an outstanding job of operating on some of the seriously injured. We finally reached the anchorage by 0430, and all hands were mustered to see if anyone was missing. They passed around a ration of whiskey or brandy,
Which was much needed, I'm sure.
to warm us up and steady our nerves. And don't worry, we all needed it. Before, it seemed like one big show where we watched someone else get hit. But now, if someone slammed a hatch, a lot of fellows hit the deck to hide or try to protect themselves. We tried to get some sleep, but at 0530, we were called to general quarters again, and another plane attacked us. We shot it down within 1,000 feet of the ship, giving us our fifth plane shot down. If that one hectic night. We tried to get a little more sleep, but at 08:30, we had general quarters again, and a Zeke attacked us. We shot it down, and it crashed right near our fantail, giving us 6 planes to our credit, and a day we will never forget. That morning, they took the wounded off the ship and held memorial services for the 3 dead men. As far as we know, there were at least 10 ships hit that night. Some of them were as follows: USS Loy, ABD 56, ABD 126, ABT 102, DD 630, DMS 629, and APD 81. On Tuesday, May 29th, we got underway and proceeded to another berth where we tied up and alongside the repair ship ARS-28. For the next 2 days, she did some temporary work on the sides of our ship.
And then what?
And we changed berths and tied up alongside the repair ship where they temporarily patched our sides so that we could go to the rear area. On Sunday, June 3rd, I took communion at the church service on the repair ship. We were warned about Japanese suicide swimmers who swim out from the island, slipped aboard undetected, and killed as many men as possible. That very thing happened a few nights earlier, and the repair ship ARL-8, a Japanese swimmer, killed out and killed 3 men before they caught him.
Wow. Watching other ships being attacked was one thing, but when it happens to you, it becomes real. And coping with this sort of trauma is not easy, and there are many ways to deal with it. But remember that you can always capture and process things in a journal, much like Mr. Fidler has done here. We dedicate this episode to the 3 men who lost their lives: W.R. Logan, Thomas Anderson Kelly, and Barny McCoy Graves.